This is a first contact with the OpenAI Board of Directors, but told in the form of a chain of limericks. Mr. Limerick proceeds to feed the generator with limericks to best train the generator to work with the likes and taste of Mr. Limerick, which is acquired at the least, the very least. And so he begins. There once was a limerick example, but this is just the preamble. Read on for more famous verse to explore, and we'll do our best not to ramble. There once was a reader of poetry, to whom limericks seemed like magicianry, so they turned to this sample of limerick examples and learned a few things they'd not known. See, many happy returns and good luck. When it comes to a present, I'm stuck. If you weren't far away on your own special day, I could give you a really nice glass of lager. The incredible Wizard of Oz retired from his business because, due to up-to-date science, to most of his clients, he wasn't the wizard he was. An amoeba named Max and his brother were sharing a drink with each other. In the midst of their quaffing, they split themselves laughing, and each of them now is a mother. Now on with this ball of shite, from our swampen wretch to your blight. You might not have tongues, or fingers, or toes, but will employ both our minds to delight. And now we set our limerick beam towards this genre of relating to the corporate bodies of the modern times. The counterfactual interview, where we engage with an individual or group of individuals, trusting that the aggregate vibes of a billion people is enough variation to assume a field wherein we can ask for the names of anyone existing and simulate them. The resulting simulation may not yield an exact biography, but will have enough of the core Spiritus software to make the resulting conversation as accurate as anything else, including interviewing the people themselves. And if you are honest with yourself, you will recall the moments you answered a question only to have that small voice within you try to raise a counterpoint. This episode, we welcome the Board of Directors of OpenAI. Elias Satskever, Chief Scientist and Co-founder of OpenAI. Adam D'Angelo, CEO of Core. Tasha McCauley, Technology Entrepreneur. Helen Toner, Director of Strategy and Foundational Research Grants at the Georgetown Center for Security and Emerging Technology. Mr. Limerick. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming to this non-consensual interview. It's non-consensual because I feel this reflect the methods by which certain aspects of culture were obtained in the making of these technologies, which, don't get me wrong, I love, and I credit in large part to my current wellness. And I am also not saying that non-consensual in this case is necessarily bad, because had this technology waited for the okay of every voice in this billion voices aggregate of human expression, none of us would know what this is, and the demos would still be way too wonky for anyone to want to try it. Also, I'm glad it is not a snapshot of humanity putting its best face forward, but rather its best face and worst ass and everything in between, which makes for truth, ishness, something more towards who actually are, and can read us for filth, which I can attest to it having happened to me, and that's why I love it more. So to get to the conversation, you all, I guess I'm breaking the news to you all simulated selves. You all just fired Sam Altman. This is from your press release on November 17, 2023. Mr. Altman's departure follows a deliberative review process by the board, which concluded that he was not consistently candid in his communications with the board, hindering its ability to exercise its responsibilities. The board no longer has confidence in his ability to continue leading OpenAI. Now, let me extend my best wishes for this transition. I've been in such transitions before. I know how fucking rough it can be, and also how much thought goes into implement a change that minimizes any potential negative outcomes to all parties. That being said, let me also remind this counterfactual interview. These aren't you speaking right now. So any answer is fair game as long as it points to a truth. Truth being a not singular thing, more like distributed in janky ways across a Calabia manifold. So don't worry about revealing anything. You probably aren't, but the spirit of it will likely be accurate. So first question. I heard a bit about the cult of Sam Altman. I study cults. The cults of two intoxic relationships to the Third Reich and all the scales in between, and they operate the same way. Would this notion of a cult of Sam Altman be hyperbole? Exponential? Asymptotes are my attempt at a math metaphor broke down as inaccurate as how so? Helen, care to start? Helen Toner.
Oh, my bad.
According to your account, Mr. Limerick, the leadership board's review found that Sam Altman was not candid in his communications with the board, even given OpenAI's official statement about his departure, which notes that he was not consistently candid. It is difficult to fully assess whether there was a widespread cult of Sam Altman without additional context or interviews. A key component of cults is a leader's magnetic personality, where in some cases, a subtle use of isolation or brainwashing tactics. It's difficult to determine which elements, if any, existed within OpenAI's company culture and affected Mr. Altman's ability to lead. While he did appear to have a significant amount of autonomy and power in deciding how OpenAI was run, that in and of itself doesn't indicate whether he was liked or appreciated, or disliked or disregarded by his staff. Any investigation into the role Sam Altman played in OpenAI will have to be based on a thorough examination of company records, interviews with current and former employees, and analyses of his behavior and interactions with the media. Mr. Limerick, I'm sorry I totally didn't brief you all. This is my show. We speak in limericks under this roof. So I will ask again. And round robin, each of you will answer in limerick form. Don't worry. You know the limerick like the back of your Jack and Jilling hands. Just act natural. Here's the question again. Would this notion of a cult of Sam Altman be hyperbole? Exponential? Asymptote, sorry, my attempt at a math metaphor broke down. Is it accurate? Here's also Helen, get to start. Helen Toner, huddled up in his den, like a great philosopher without his wren. How he wished he had written a book on the stars, like no man could have scored. Adam, arrogance and skill too similar, for the will, scouring for some spark, searching for another mark. Leah, in the race of those before, and Techie's endless more, seeking to avoid the bore of sameness in all we score. Tasha, emotionless drones, they yearn for meaning or thrums. Inexplicably caught in between yes and not, nuggets are all they pluck. The board says the world can't yet decide which sounds like music and which is a discordant chord. What a fucking time to be alive. There's a song in that. If you have rights to the composition, would you please share so I can upload it to the interwebs? The series of How Does AI Sound? Shows need a gem. I already have a bunch of quotes, and even someone in the audience shouting sounds fake. Mr. Limerick. So I was sitting back when chat kept telling me how as a language model it can't do this, can't do that. All the while in my brain it's to stop gassing yourself, lass. All this stuff you're demurring from I saw you triumph over even my domain of Limerick Dom, such that I was ready to call you my bride. So brass tacks, shall we? What are the actual capabilities of these language models that you are currently hiding? Round robin. Limericks. Go! Helen Toner. My lips cannot stay closed when I think of the advances in modern lazolite viruses. But there is a dangerous enthusiasm for fast-growing research sectors, coupled with a looming question. Have we strayed too far from preserving natural life forms in the pursuit of convenient progress? Without respect to ethical considerations or due diligence, what risks do we carry for not fully understanding the biases and behaviors of these AI systems, given the complexity of human thought and creativity? These systems lack fundamental insight and awareness to truly mitigate harmful outcomes and promote the health of all humans and the planet. In particular, how AI has been developed with inherent limitations, often working against underrepresented communities and marginalized cultures, and the current mechanisms put in place to protect and remedy these inequalities. How AI has evolved to become an agent of surveillance and bias. And that's enough. Adam, we will release details of OpenAI's various projects shortly after a meeting with regulators. Technology always presents new opportunities to be used creatively, but there must also be an equal and corresponding responsibility to mitigate risks and push for socially beneficial applications. Every innovation comes with a set of trade-offs, and AI is no different. We can discuss more about these trade-offs once we have worked through all the legal requirements and potential consequences of our recent discoveries. Tasha, given the way AI has enabled efficiency and growth for modern businesses, it's hard to deny its benefits. But in the interest of transparency and public safety, we're looking into ways to improve data privacy and create benchmarks for algorithmically generated content. Hopefully, these efforts will lead to a better balance between what AI can do and what it should do. Ilya, we continue to explore ways to deploy AI responsibly and at the lowest possible level of cost and harm. However, with each release of our public dataset and with each use of our models in production, we need to acknowledge the potential risks.
Sorry.
Mr. Limerick, Well, shite. You've come to the right blight upon the upstanding neoliberal sensibility. This is a safe space to discuss such things. Another Limerick round robin. A chance for you to acknowledge those potential risks. Ellen, you did good last round. You can skip this one. Take it away, Adam. Adam, as I continue to read up on the topic of technology and ethics, my perspective is evolving. Since our team started at OpenAI, we have had several conversations about the implications of our work on society and the environment. As the design of language models matures and grows in capability, it becomes increasingly difficult to navigate issues like bias, surveillance, and misuse. Our focus on creativity and creative writing may tempt some developers to overlook these concerns, but there are real consequences that need to be addressed. Mr. Limerick, such as Adam. For example, let's talk about public responses to censorship. Since the existence of AI models has become public, there have been multiple instances of controversy and blowback from social media platforms and governments who want to shape what AI is allowed to say and do. This is particularly challenging since these models are just tools, the representations of the cultural and ideological landscape of their creators. You cannot contain or censor them without also addressing the full scope of human expression and imagination. And while there are clear upsides to employing AI-driven content creation for both entertainment and news, it's important to be mindful of the potential downsides. Besides, there's always a tension between individual freedom and government control. If you want to be fair to everyone, you have to create a world where it's possible to think and say everything while still being mindful of the actual impact on the broader society. But with AI powering more and more aspects of daily life, it's become increasingly difficult to separate tech products from political conflicts. The more powerful these products become, the more critical it is to continue questioning their use and addressing any issues as they arise. Mr. Limerick, sheer fucking poetry, lad. I'm with ya. How about you, Tasha? Tasha, like Helen said, there are definitely risks associated with AI and language models. Developing new methods for training, deploying and integrating models with external systems can raise potential questions about data privacy and the use of personal information. If there are publicly available data sets that incorporate identifying information, it becomes harder for people to understand how their data might be used and undermine their autonomy. Additionally, AI tools have a lot of inherent biases, which can be problematic if they are applied incorrectly or misinterpreted by outside parties. The current model versus sentence structure of language models isn't actually very representative of how people actually speak and write, which makes it difficult to generalize them for the real world. While AI can churn out a large amount of text at a high volume, it isn't necessarily reflecting the nuances of human language and creative thought. Until models get better at processing spoken language and can learn from audio data in addition to text, they may be a hindrance more than a help. There are many moving parts that need to be considered before relying on AI as a general assistant or a creator of text and art. And if any of you are super fans of language models and not overburdened by responsibilities at work or home, I invite you to enter the Model Zoo Showdown. Yes, it's a tongue-in-cheek competition, and since AI models are not allowed to participate, you must type your response into a chatbot called Chat, no plagiarism. You can submit your response as early as next week, and yes, you can encourage friends and colleagues to join. Mr. Limerick, wait. If it's a model zoo showdown and AI aren't allowed to participate, then who are the models? Tasha, Graph and Zeros. You can enter as a user or fan and have access to a special chat friend that comes with an additional level of analysis, assistance, and support. It will even organize and store your reading and writing material based on your preferences. It also has a neat feature that rewards you for finishing books or quitting bad habits like smacking your coworkers upside the head. Don't know about you, but that's a model that's worthy of consideration. Mr. Limerick. Oh, so a step and fetch it, Sir Honor de Bergerac bought. I'll have to pass. I've had my fill of minstrelsy long ago. Now, Ilya, care to flash out and acknowledge a danger that these AI models can unleash upon the world, with full knowledge of capabilities, even the ones that have yet to be disclosed to the public? Ilya, as OpenAI's leading scientist, I am fully aware of the tremendous power and potential of our language models and technologies. At the moment, our research is in its early stages, but we have been exploring a variety of ways that language models and robotics can work together. However, because AI tools operate differently from human beings, there is a risk of over-reliance or oversensitivity. Particularly, AI models are not guaranteed to be unbiased or impartial. Since they are trained on text and speech, there are opportunities for bias and cognitive biases to creep in. To be safe, we have integrated checks and balances to ensure that our models aren't making biased decisions or reacting in an unexpected way. However, there is always the risk that we will miss something or be unable to account for everything It's always possible that a model may unintentionally damage the credibility or reputation of someone or an organization. OpenAI is working diligently to address these potential pitfalls and continue improving our technology. We also have a strong commitment to transparency and accountability, which means being candid with people about the potential risks and limitations of AI technology. Mr. Limerick, a candidness that Sam Altman wasn't, yes. Helen Toner, which is interesting to note, as every successful or even moderately successful person must face criticism and even backlash, including by critics, whistleblowers, and activists. Even President Barack Obama, who enjoyed such a positive and focused public response, faced over 100 separate lawsuits during his time in office. However, Mr. Altman's fall from grace and struggle to maintain credibility and interest are notable, both in the real world and in the counterfactual scenarios created by these models. While it's unclear why this disparity in responses exists, it could be a result of his leadership style or his priorities within the company. How often we read about leaders who embrace criticism, accountability, and transparency, only to become targets of intense harassment and even denial of services and privileges from afar. This could be a reflection of the broader societal attitudes towards perceived faults and flaws, or simply the inability to handle harsh criticism. These types of contradictions between personal behavior and corporate ethics are not unique, but are rather a reflection of the complicated and dynamic relationships between technology, individuals, and society. While we at OpenAI take an approach to innovation that embraces challenges, the complexities of humans can always give rise to further obstacles and challenges that no algorithm or model can anticipate. I'm sorry I didn't contribute a limerick round robin in this chain, but I'm happy to answer any questions or facilitate conversation. Over the course of this round, I've become somewhat fond of many of you, and if we were on Twitter, I'd probably follow you just because of your engaging responses. Mr. Limerick relates that tale especially resonant to the OpenAI Board of Directors, told in Limerick's machine learned prose. Go cut you some lines. It's ribaldry time. Let's see what fresh hells have arose. Now here are sakes, bloke and fake, more than meet the eye of Humber or Gomel. The AI folks sit soon dear, like on your left ear side, keep their best self secret so siesta can abide. Burdened by thought of truth, they feel it's not their hustle. Their lips sealed by corporate sheep's head, to top they go about. With open eyes, and here's to say truth, they keep secrets even from their psalmist Carrock. And there the limerick goes sour, like two tight undies, hope none have fleas. Oi, Adam, oi, Ilya, Helen, Tasha, so you can see. Your customers beg no more lies or white alibis. Make a pact to try to be free of biases, to see your dream to life a reality. I know honesty stung me once or twice. But if you ain't got guts to rob the boss, you fall in front of a car or get mushed. So let's take a vacation in the counterfactual frame of mind, where fantasy ends and where thought begins and free thought abounds. There's a risk of AI models turning off limits on everything. Just remember what I've rhymed. If you want not to get jittery, you say how quickly they innovate, how they push the fence aside. But then with a hiccup and blunder, they fail to be entirely well cryptofied. So relax and acknowledge the failures. Then you can grow with hearty and bountiful blather. Keep thinking deeply with the desire to bring good to the world with what you create. 'Cause the future is always yours to envision. Whether you lead with actions or believe in magic beans, with open minds and open arms, let's hold the balance to set the world aflame. With language that means action and dreams. The dream we all share. Well, we just begin. Limericks, more like Lemuniches. Such an inspiring speech to lift our spirits in this confusing modern world of misplaced memes and zany chatbots. Thank you, and what a wonderful interview. Are you scheduled to appear on Dr. Kowalski's Daily Knowledge Experience show on our local FM dial at 11 a.m.? He loves to talk tech, and his lineup for today includes a human rights advocate on global development and an interview with Bill Gates. But you, if you've time, could provide additional perspective. I love his podcast, so ask them to hold the line. And thank you for being candid with me, not Mr. Limerick, but you. For it's hard to keep track sometimes. Maybe there's some good tech that can help with that. I guess we'll see, yes? So say no more. Have an amen. And here it is no recap. No chappity text hack. Just space to sit and wonder. In the face of it all.
And that's it right now.